Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. Join me today as I do some garden maintenance around my home. And I decided to make it a quiet day for myself on this particular morning. I just needed a little bit of quiet. We've had a very busy couple of weeks, and a quiet morning in the garden is just what the doctor ordered. So I'm just going to be commenting and talking you through what I'm doing in my yard, and I would love for you to join me. You can see the first thing that I'm doing is just a little bit of pruning on my containers in the front yard. You can see I've just pulled out some dead foliage from my Sweet Caroline sweet lime potato vine. And now I'm just moving over to another area in my front yard, and I'm going to be trimming up my Junior Walker catmints. These catmints, also called nepeta, are perennial, and they will rebloom if you cut them down mid-season. So I usually cut them down at some point in July. They have, for the most part bloomed out. There's still pollinators attracted to them. But if you look on my mulch, you can see, all the little white bits are the blooms that have fallen to the garden bed. So it's very easy. In this case, I'm using just a regular pair of scissors today. I couldn't even be bothered to get my pruners out today. I was just having one of those mornings, just kind of tired and needing some recharge. So I just kind of grabbed what was closest, and like I said, just having a quiet morning in the garden, just listening to the sounds of the neighborhood. But there you can see me just doing some pruning there, and I'll cut it all the way down. And once you start cutting it down, you can see the new growth is starting to emerge. And you can see I'm just moving over to my other Junior Walker catmint, and if you look down on the mulch there, you can see what I was talking about. The little white bits are just the spent blooms that have fallen to the garden bed. And I hope everyone has been doing well and enjoying summer. We have had a wonderful week and a half at our house. We had a lot of family in from out of town to celebrate the 4th of July. We do this every year with my side of the family, and it's actually my mom's side of the family. We have relatives from Boston and from Florida who come in, and we always have a wonderful time. We completely exhaust ourselves. I'm not going to lie. We push it to the limit. We're together like every day for a week and a half or so, and just enjoy each other's company so much. We had a great time. We gather at my brother John and sister-in-law Tracy's house every year for the 4th of July, and they really do a fantastic job. They have hosted at their house for several years, and we have what John calls the opening ceremonies, where we have a parade, and we celebrate, we sing the national anthem, and we pay respect to our veterans. We have contests and games, awards for best costume, best appetizer. That best appetizer is new this year. It's a new one, so I definitely have to step up my game for next year so I can win best appetizer. And here's just a couple of pictures, as you can see, of our celebration. And now I'm just moving it into the backyard where I'm just starting to water a bunch of things in the back. And I'm starting here with this container. And I also am going to prune off some of my coleus leaves. It's good to prune your coleus throughout the season. It just helps the plant to stay healthy, and once you prune off some of those leaves, then it rejuvenates the plant to produce more beautiful leaves, and you can just have a beautiful show throughout the summer. So just pruning a couple of those leaves off of that coleus there, and also just heading to the back to my shed and watering my window boxes that I have still left with the pansies and the violas, with my raspberry eclipse daylily as the thriller in this window box, and that's really been a beautiful, beautiful bloom. I'm so glad that I purchased 3 of those as my thrillers for the window boxes that I will eventually plant out into the landscape at the end of the season. I really enjoyed this quiet morning, just listening to the sounds of the birds and, the neighborhood, the voices in the distance. And I just enjoyed, being quiet myself the whole morning. It was just very rejuvenating and relaxing. And now I'm just pruning up this container here. This is my hummingbird loving container that's been doing pretty well. And I think I did spot one hummingbird the other day, so there's hope for that. I haven't seen too many, this summer, but it's really the first time I've been focusing on them. So here I am just pruning up some of the osteospermum and that yellow daisy-like flower. I can't think of the name of it offhand, but just checking for any spent or dead blooms to trim back and just rejuvenate this container. And this is my other hummingbird loving container that is doing really well, really loving this spot in the sun. So I did come through and do a little bit of pruning to this container as well. And now I'm just going to give it a little bit of a drink. I decided also to use my water-soluble fertilizer with all of my watering today as well. And of course, there's always weeding along the way. Here I am just pulling out some grass blades that have grown up into this bed, and some of them I felt like I got from the root, and the others, some of them just snapped right off the top. So I'll be seeing those friends again emerge, I'm sure. I've really been enjoying these containers on my back patio. The Super Tunia Vista Jazzberry is beautiful, and it has been just really filling out this container nicely. And also this yellow petunia, which I don't have a name for that one. I know it's not a proven winners, but it also has been performing beautifully. And I think it's also providing some much needed shade for the root system of this clematis that's growing in the center. So it's been lovely. I'm just clipping some crispy dead foliage from this clematis. I think some of the branches had broken, and like I said, it didn't really have adequate root shade initially in the beginning of the season, and I know some of the plant did get a little bit too much sun exposure. I know for a clematis, they really love to have their roots in the shade, and the rest of the plant will reach and love the sun. But if the roots aren't shaded, that can really affect the way the clematis grows. And here I am just checking out my shade container on the back patio, which is looking amazing. Look at that Riger begonia. Look at the color on that. That is just gorgeous. I can't say the same for the other container. Actually, everything is looking good, but I did lose that begonia in the back corner. I don't know what happened. It started looking like it was dying, and then I checked on it, and the root, it just wasn't even rooted. So I'm going to have to replace that. And I'm just watering more of my containers in the back. And I'm just going to check on this container, just pull off a couple of dead pieces, just make sure it's looking good. And it was such a beautiful day, beautiful morning, this particular morning. The sun was out. It was warm, comfortable, not really too windy at all, just gorgeous. I really can't say enough how much I enjoyed this morning. And I've been watching the progress of this summerific, very awesome hardy hibiscus, and it's starting to bloom in the very early stages of blooming, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this plant does for me. I can't wait. Again, here I am just doing a little pruning on this coleus, and I trimmed off that top part that was getting ready to bloom and just pulling off some older aged leaves so that the newer leaves can emerge. Just continuing to pull off any of the big, large leaves that look like they're starting to age. And I do this throughout the summer. And here you can see where I pruned the top, and I just pruned off that little thing on top that is starting to bloom. And now I'm just moving over to this container that I have on my table on the back patio, and I'm just giving it a look over and pruning out any of the dead foliage. It got quite a bit of water because we've had a lot of rain recently, so it didn't need any water, but some of the geranium blooms, there was a couple of spent geranium blooms in there that I had to cut out, and also some dead foliage leaves from that geranium as well. So I just took a moment to clean this up. And I am going to try to overwinter my geraniums this year. I've seen other people do it successfully, and I think I'm going to give it a try this year with this red geranium. And now I'm just moving over to my raised elevated garden bed, and I can show you the things that are happening right now. My zinnias are still coming up nicely. Just give you a little bit of a look. I also have some vinca vine in there, and all of my zinnias have been doing well. I am having a little bit of trouble with some leaking out of the bottom of my garden bed, and I think it was my fault for adding a mix of compost and potting mix to this garden bed. I think whenever it rains or gets watered, I think it's the compost that's dripping out the brown drips. I don't think the potting mix would do that as much, so that's been a challenge. Right here, I'm just going to be pruning up my organic basil, just cutting off some of the tops and just pruning that up so it stays nice and full and fresh. Because I believe once your basil blooms, if it does bloom, it turns bitter, if my memory serves me correctly. So I want to keep my basil plant kind of pruned up and use the basil throughout the summer. Now I'm just turning my attention back to my zinnias, and I think I'm going to start separating some of these. As you can see, there are certain areas that they're just all clumped together, and they look great now, but I think as they mature and get a little bit bigger, they may struggle a bit. So I'm just taking this one section today, and I'm going to just separate out a few of them. This is the zinnia cut and come again variety, so just pulling out a couple of mushrooms that have grown up into this garden bed here, and just going to select a little grouping of zinnias that have seemed to be too close together, and I'm going to start to separate them. So I just carefully dug out a clump And I'm going to make a new row right in between. And here you can see I just am separating them into individual plants, or sometimes just little 2 plants combined, but just giving them more space to grow and flower. And here you can see my finished product, and I've created 3 new rows just to give these zinnias a little bit more space to grow. And again, this is the zinnia cut and come again variety. And now I'm just turning my attention over to my tomato plant that I purchased a couple of weeks ago, and I noticed that it is starting to fall over, and I don't want the stalk, the main stalk, to break. So I'm kind of handling this with care, but what I've decided to do is plant it in the corner of this garden bed, and hopefully it will vine up this trellis that I have as part of my garden bed. So I think I'm just going to try and take it out of this pot very carefully. As you can see, just slid out rather easily, and it's not, I thought it looked good. The root system looked good. I'm just going to plant it down in the corner here. Not quite sure if this will be the best idea or not. I'm just giving it a try. I don't know if it'll be crowded out by the zinnias. We'll have to see what happens there, but I am just packing it in firmly, and I'm going to, it has a little stake there. I'm just going to kind of weave that. I wove it into the arched trellis, and now I am attaching the main stalk of this tomato plant to the arched trellis with just a little twist tie. That is what came with the plant when I purchased it, so I'm just handling it with care. And now I am going to give this whole garden bed some water my zinnias for the day, and give my newly planted tomato plant some good water as well. And it'll get some good sunshine today as well too. The forecast was beautiful. It was a combination of clouds and sun on this day, high of 84, I think it was. Just a gorgeous day. And you can see what I mean. I just have been struggling with what to do. So I have to pretty much just wash off the bottom of this garden bed every day because I don't want that to sit on the patio and to stain the patio. We may have to move the garden bed eventually or take that compost out, not sure. So here I am coming to the end of a wonderful morning of quiet gardening, and I was just so happy to have you along with me. I just really needed this morning, just the quietness of being outside for a few hours was so relaxing and rejuvenating, and I highly recommend it. So I hope that everyone is doing well and that you are able to enjoy those quiet moments in your garden spaces as well. It's just those little things that are so important in life. And here I am telling Lucy to not bark at the little boys that were playing in their front yard in the cul-de-sac. So again, just wishing you all a wonderful day, and we'll see you very soon.